There are 450 documented gangs in the city of Los Angeles and over 45,000 gang members. We've had the infamous reputation in LA for being the gang capital of the world, and people use different terms like the mothership and belly of the beast.
We have been the home of street gangs that have migrated across the United States for the last 5 decades. During that time period, we have seen huge spikes in violent gang crime.
We tried suppression exclusively, we've tried social work services exclusively, we've tried almost everything, but not in a coordinated fashion. In 2007, the city took a bold step. It established the Office of Gang Reduction and Youth Development to coordinate citywide services of gang prevention, intervention, reentry, and to collaborate with law enforcement.
The Gang Reduction and Youth Development Program is the most aggressive, holistic gang crime reduction strategy in the country.
At the same time, LAPD was in the midst of evolving its community policing strategies. These developments led to significant reductions in gang violence throughout the city.
The way that I know GRYD is working is by the numbers. Every facet of gang crime was reduced last year. We measured 11 categories of gang crime, all the way from extortion to murder. Every one of those categories was down.
This is not business as usual. This is an extraordinary, comprehensive, community-driven effort.
We've been able to make a big shift to make Los Angeles what I hope becomes not the source of the problem, but the source of the solution to gang violence. First, you have to keep kids out of gangs. That's the best money you can spend.
We've come up with very effective strategies to identify those youth that might be at risk of becoming gang involved and reduce those risk factors and the behaviors associated with gangs. This is a problem that requires a multi-generational family solution.
It's nurturing the family, supporting the family, but so that they start problem solving within themselves.
We engage them in activities and services that will be beneficial at that age, that would be an alternative.
We all have the need for belonging. What you join to get that feeling of belonging is what makes a difference.
Over time, we see that it's more than just a program. It's a relationship that they formed. It's a bond. It's a very special bond.
Then next, you have to have good intervention. You have to deal with kids that are already in gangs. You have to have a way to not only get them out of gangs, but also a way to broker peace.
There is a significant number of highly trained community intervention workers that work in the most dangerous neighborhoods of the city.
They're almost always former gang members that have renounced that kind of life.
I can apply everything that I learned, that I experienced, the good and bad things that I did to help other people that, are in this type of environment. We conduct home visits, we mentor them, we go to schools, we do workshops, we talk to parents, we do parent workshops.
Community intervention work is being in tune with the community, doing needs assessments daily, interacting with the people, just looking for different ways to reduce violence here in this community.
We do team building, we do mediation, self-esteem, anger management. We started Camp Tiger in 2000.
One of the strategies of the GRYD office is to focus on the retaliatory component of gang violence.
Whenever a shooting or a homicide that's gang-related occurs in the city of Los Angeles, gang intervention workers that specialize in that neighborhood in the city get notified. And they go not to do the same thing we're doing, not to solve the crime, but to prevent the next crime.
Sometimes there's shootings that we've done mediation. Us, gang intervention, we're in the middle.
They can talk to decision makers that I cannot. They can talk to decision makers that law enforcement cannot. They have a level of credibility in these neighborhoods, and it's gang-specific credibility.
And then lastly, reentry programs are extremely important because if we don't find a place for former criminals to be, street gangs will. You have to combine those 3 other pieces of the puzzle with smart and focused law enforcement.
There are some youth in our communities that will pull the trigger. The levels of violence is pretty repulsive. And they are our children, but sometimes your children need a timeout. We need to hold them accountable for the pain they're creating. In some of the housing developments, we have added additional law enforcement. A group of dedicated officers will be placed in the same communities for 5 years. Their role is not only to keep residents safe by arresting those that insist on perpetrating violence, but equally as important, you will see them engaging the community in ways that build trust and collaboration.
Community policing is the recognition that policing is everybody's responsibility. When you can create a sense of community, when you can eliminate crime, when you can attract businesses, when you can keep families, you have a healthy city. Los Angeles is much more healthy than it was 3 years ago because of GRYD, and it will only get better if we continue to follow the course. This is working.
We've come up with very effective strategies at keeping the levels of crime down. The GRYD strategies now have become an example of potential solutions to the rest of the world. With the United States Agency for International Development, we started training service providers in the most violent parts of Central America, as well as in other cities throughout the country. To really shift to a new normal in these neighborhoods, it has to be sustained. We celebrate the advances that we've made, but data doesn't console grieving parents.
These communities have said we want our kids safe.
These neighborhoods not only want it, but they deserve it. So yeah, we have a responsibility for dealing with this, just at a very human level. We have a lot of partners right now that step up and provide funding for summer night lights or cook hot dogs. There is tremendous enthusiasm throughout the city in tackling this problem. We're all rowing together and we're moving in the right direction.